You are now listening to the Hunter's Advantage podcast. We preserve the history and sport of hunting through curious conversation and action-packed hunts, as well as offering you tips and strategy for more successful hunts. The Hunter's Advantage podcast is powered by Out on a Limb Manufacturing. Out on a Limb is a family-owned company based right here in Oklahoma that makes tree stands, saddle platforms, climbing sticks, and so much more.
Christian, I have a quick question.
What's that?
What bites down harder, a hippo or an alligator?
No idea.
It's a trick question. The Ridge Runner 2.0 bites harder than both of them. But all jokes aside, we use these products all across the land on public or private. These help us get into any tree we want and hunt where the deer actually are.
Most men go to the grocery store for their meat, but these products help you go to God's grocery store. I have used the Out on a Limb Ridge Runner 2.0 and the Shakar sticks for the last few years hunting public land bucks, and I've actually shot several bucks out of this setup. If you want to support the podcast and get some Out on a Limb equipment, make sure to go to outonalimbmfg.com and use code HNTA10 for 10% off at checkout. Once again, if you want to support the podcast, go to outonalimbmfg.com and use code HNTA10 at checkout for 10% off. Now let's get back to the podcast. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Hunter's Advantage podcast. We are joined by a special guest, Craig Griffith of the Oklahoma Bowhunter. How's it going, man?
Doing great.
Well, thanks for coming on. I've never seen a Craig with a K. That's gotta be a first. What's up with that?
Everyone in my family has a K name. So my mom, I think she actually found it in a phone book when they were looking for K names. So
I just figured you were kind of like me when your parents didn't really love you, because I'm named after my dad and my last name's Gaylord. So I get the crap end of the stick. So It is what it is.
Greg, why don't you give everybody kind of a little bit of a brief update of kind of the Oklahoma Bowhunter, how that got started? Because I feel like it was really good to put a face with the name, because I see so many folks that wear that hat, follow that page. I've been following the page for
decals on the back glass.
Yeah, like it is very, very popular in Oklahoma. So can you kind of give us a little bit of overview on how you got that started?
Yeah, so I've always been a hunter. My uncle got me and my brother hunting when we were teenagers, and we just kind of really fell in love with bow hunting, and we just wanted to create that kind of community where bow hunters would just share photos. And we were trying to come up with different ways. We were trying to think of a website to get people to share photos, but websites people just don't share very well. Mm-hmm. And so I created a Facebook page in 2010 and just named it first name Oklahoma, second name Bowhunter. And then just every time one of my buddies killed something, I would just tag Oklahoma Bowhunter so people could see it. And then it just kind of caught on. And back then you could only have about 5,000 friends. And so within 2 years it maxed out, and people were like, hey, can you delete that guy from Texas and add me? I'd like to follow this page. And so then I had to create a business page just so I could get more followers and more bow hunters to share their photos. But that was the whole goal. It was just to try to see what someone else has killed on the other side of Oklahoma, and just to kind of stay motivated.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Like I enjoy the page up until I don't, and you're going to understand why. Because if it's like late November or something, and I scroll through my Facebook feed, and all of a sudden, Oklahoma Bowhunter shares a picture of someone killing a giant, I'm like, I'm the worst hunter in America, and especially in Oklahoma, because everybody else is getting it done, and I'm seeing the proof. Which that's any social media, but just for our instance, it's usually your Facebook page. And so, I feel like that can be a little bit tricky at times.
Yeah, I find it motivates a lot of guys to like, oh, the deer moving, I got to get back out there, you know, and you can't kill them from the couch. So if you're surfing your Facebook and not hunting, that's probably why you hadn't killed anything.
Craig, I know a good
from my stand.
I know a good amount of people that have lost motivation from the page. You got to stay with me. I took a screenshot one time of a buck that I knew a buddy was after. He did not know this neighbor, and there was a 140-inch 7-point that got killed. And I saw it on Oklahoma bow hunter, I believe, and I screenshotted it. And I was like, dude, is this the buck that you've been after? And he was like, no crap. He's like, I saw that guy today. And I've had people see their target buck in the Facebook page and they found it. It's crazy how small of a world it is and how small of a community that that can be.
Oh yeah. So that happened to me last year. A neighbor about a mile and a half away from me shot this deer on 5 acres. A buck that I've had on camera for 2 years. I actually passed him up the year before. And I think you just have to be excited for that person that killed that deer, because otherwise you'll drive yourself crazy if you just dwell and get upset. It is what it is. That deer was meant for that person to shoot, and you just got to high five them and find another deer to chase. It's just it's part of the game.
I know we're in the dead heat of summer here. Some people are collecting good velvet picks. Some people don't have their cameras out yet at all. What have you been up to as far as deer hunting goes or bow hunting goes this summer?
I'm still kind of creating inventory for new places. I'm a big urban deer hunter, so I'm constantly still calling and landowners and trying to find those small little niche spots to go out and chase deer. I try not to do a ton of deer work this time of year, because I feel like sometimes those deer move off. I did put some cameras out this weekend just because I had time to do it, and so I mowed some trails and got a few cameras up.
So obviously I'm not wanting to like give any information if someone listens to this that knows you. When you're talking about urban deer hunting, do you try to go into those, I call them bougie neighborhoods with, big old gated areas, and it's like hundreds of houses of just this big gated community? I work in one of those, and
yeah,
I see some absolute tanks sometimes. So is that kind of where you try to be, or is it?
Yeah. There's not a ton of those bougie neighborhoods where I'm at, but there is some pretty good patches, is what I call them, of woods that kind of branch from neighborhoods to neighborhoods. And so as long as you have cameras in multiple locations, a lot of times you can target those bucks throughout the season. So it's hard to just target a deer on 10 acres just because he's not going to live on those 10 acres. And I've seen bucks move 5-6 miles away from different spots to those different patches of woods, and they're all moving around neighborhoods and people's houses. And, a lot of people in Oklahoma go out west to hunt, and they don't realize the deer that are in their backyard. So I enjoy the tracking and trailing part of it and trying to locate, and they may not be the biggest deer that people are killing, but I just enjoy finding those older bucks that, roam in people's backyards.
Do you find it any, is there a different sort of challenge hunting suburban deer? I know it's like, 10 years ago, I didn't even know people hunted suburban deer. And now it seems like not a fad, but it seems extremely popular. Is there a unique set of challenges that hunting one in like an urban small environment that you like, or what is it that kind of trips your trigger?
I think for me is, we all have our normal jobs, and we don't have a whole lot of time to hunt. And so for me, it's being able to go hunt before work. I can go sit in the stand, and, if I don't see much, I can get out of the stand. And a lot of the places that I hunt, I try to just be able to get in and get out without disturbing those deer's, daily routine. So I think if you can get in and hunt more, I think your odds of killing a buck. Last year I killed a buck during the rut on a Monday morning before I went to work. So it's one of those deals that a lot of guys just wait for the weekend, and having a close spot by the house or work where you can go get in the stand for a short amount of time, increase your odds of shooting a deer with a bow.
I like that. Yeah. You kind of being in those suburban areas, does it ever get kind of sketchy? Like, hey, try to set the scene for me, because how close are you to like some people?
So it's not, it wouldn't be sketchy. The thing is, you just have to realize what you're dealing with. So a lot of guys get frustrated with urban deer hunting because the neighbor's dog will run out on your trail camera, or you'll just get a lot of, people shooting guns, their pistols on their back porch. You'll just get different things that would normally screw up your hunt. But if you just realize, hey, I just got to sit here, what the deer's going to do, they're probably still going to show up, and some guys get frustrated and they get out of the stand because they hear all that noise. But a lot of times the deer are used to that. So you just have to wait it out, and it's part of the game.
Yeah. Do you usually go about like trying to bait and all that stuff still? Or do you just mainly go off of
I do. I do bait. I just don't use deer feeders. I throw, corn on the ground, that would last a few days. Try to draw that deer in. I try to put it around a tree to make it more natural. So like, a lot of bucks, I truly believe, are looking for those trees that are falling. And so if you put the corn underneath the tree to that deer, they're going to keep coming back to that spot for the next couple of days. And if you move your piles around, I feel like you're going to continue to, draw that deer towards you. And if you always put it in the same spot, they think they can come there anytime that they want and eat it, in the middle of the night.
Dirty dogs. I've only hunted suburban deer like one time, and it was a very interesting experience because I went over to the lake, and first of all, it was probably a little too urban to hunt because like there was no drainages or creek. There was nowhere to like where you weren't shooting like pretty much directly at a house. Like I remember pulling back on a deer and being like, I hope that guy doesn't open his garage because I'm probably going to send an arrow through his shin. And
yeah.
I was like, this is a little sketchy. And then the guy that ran the neighborhood, he was like, y'all having any luck? And I was like, no, I haven't found a shot opportunity where I feel like I'm not going to send an arrow through somebody's car hood or something like that. And he's like, oh, well, I'll get you one right here. Watch this. And he walks to his garage. He puts about 5 pounds of corn in a bucket and he starts shaking it in his driveway. And he's like, they hear this, they come running. And you see him start to come out of the woods. And I was like, I think it's about time to go. This isn't really what I was looking for.
Yeah. I don't have any of those situations. And if I did, I don't think it'd be that much fun.
Those are lake deer. They're a little different, Jake, right?
Those are the bougie neighborhoods we were talking about where they get fed without a feeder. So
yeah.
Have you shot many bucks hunting suburban like that? Is that the main way that you like to hunt, or do you still like to go out and kind of hunt the woods and that sort of stuff?
I do both. I try to, if I have a weekend where I can go hunt a Friday, Saturday, or even a Sunday, then I'm going to go out, further, about an hour away from my house. We have some land. And so we go out there and hunt it. But it's just because of work and 3 kids, you find yourself, it's better to go get in the stand for a few hours and then come back and have breakfast and enjoy some of your day instead of sitting in the deer stand all day long. You kind of pick and choose those battles.
Are those deer behind you suburban? Because I've been trying to full screen it like the whole time and like zoom up on them, and they look like freaking tanks.
Yeah. So, I haven't killed a lot of giants. A lot of the deer that I chase after are 5-6 year olds. And a lot of them are 130 inch, 140 inch deer. And I'd shoot 2 of those every year.
Oh, absolutely.
I shot the closest one that I shot in town was about 500 yards from a Walmart. And, I had this spot so pinned down that I could literally go get Starbucks and go get in a deer stand, and my wind would always blow back toward I came from, and so I could literally sit in a blind with Starbucks and I shot a deer before work one morning that way. So, but you just got to pattern those deer. I truly believe, a lot of your wild, country deer or city deer, if that buck is in there in daylight in the morning time, after 9 o'clock, your odds of killing that deer are a lot higher if you go that night, so through texting cams, scouting and knowing when those bucks are in there, A lot of times if you pull your card and that buck showed up in the morning time, there's a good chance he showed up that night too, because he's bedding a lot closer.
I like that. I like that challenge of the small parcel suburban stuff too, because you don't really have a lot of ground to work with. And then like it proposes, I feel like, a unique challenge. Cause if you hunt a quarter section, you're hunting 660 acres. It's a little bit different than hunting a 5 acre parcel. And you're like, well, this deer could walk across the property if he's moving pretty quick in 20 seconds. So I really got to figure out where he's at, how he's moving. And then do you see a lot of other folks doing that now too? Like other people trying to knock and get permission in suburban places? I feel like it's got to be harder than it used to be.
I'm sure it is. I try to go where I don't think people are hunting, if that makes sense. I try to knock on some properties in Norman, and where these people are like, you can deer hunt in city limits, like they're confused. And I think that's a good thing, because no one's really ever knocked on their door. So it's just about educating them and tell them, hey, I'd like to manage some of the deer around your property. And a lot of them are all game for it. So
kind of going back to your Oklahoma Bowhunter page, do people ever give you like the exact location of a buck they just shot? Like, because if I were you and people were DMing me big bucks, I would be like, hey, where'd you shoot that one? Just that little devil on my shoulder be like, I'm about to get a free spot out of this.
Yeah. I don't know. So my number one rule is, if someone's hunting a spot, I never want to take it away from them. So
right.
I guess I don't have that on my shoulder. And I do have a lot of guys that share photos with me that, don't want to, share it on Facebook. And so I get to see a lot of deer that are killed around Oklahoma that don't want to broadcast it. So, and I understand that. But it's one of those things that if you hunt more than one location, then it's hard. A lot of people think I just hunt behind my house, and that's not true. So when you own some acreage, they think you just hunt there, and I hunt, 2 or 3 different counties and run a lot of trail cameras. So to me, and a lot of people that send photos, sometimes they'll send it via text message, and then they'll have their location services on. So then I know exactly where they killed that deer.
Oh,
if you scroll through your phone and look at the locations, a lot of times you'll see where a lot of buddies, if you saved it, you'll see a lot of people had their locations on.
Oh, well, that's actually good to know. I didn't even know that
good to know
sort of thing even existed. Wow.
Yeah. If you look at your phone and it says the city, then it's going to have the location attached to it.
I got
Last time I sent Jake a trail cam picture.
Yeah, that ain't no joke. So with that being said, then obviously I'm sure like the off season is pretty slow for Oklahoma Bowhunter, and you probably get how many messages do you get probably per season?
Man, sometimes it's like 60 messages a day.
Good God.
Sometimes it's 5 or 6, but still you just never know. I try not to sell anything throughout the season, because I want to post people's photos. And if someone sent it to me, I don't want it to be 3 weeks before I post it. They want that live now, and because of all these other Facebook groups, sometimes I feel like I'm the third person that they send it to, and then they want to post it on their own page to get followers and things like that. So used to, people would send it to me and I'd post it first before they ever posted it on their own pages. But it's, and you got Instagram and you've got all these other, places where they can post photos. It's hard to keep up with all of them.
I've been using the new Exodus Rival cell camera for the last couple months, and I have found a beautiful mainframe 8-point with tons of stickers to go after this fall.
Ooh.
One thing I do appreciate about Exodus trail cameras is all of the cameras share the same data plan, so you only pay for what you need. A lot of cell cam companies charge you for HD pictures. I've seen prices of $5 for 50 HD pics. Exodus is going to give you unlimited HD pictures right to your phone, which is awesome when you're sitting there in the middle of the summer and it's 100 degrees and you just want to binge a bunch of trail cam photos.
If you're looking for a solid cell camera with great performance and a 5-year no BS warranty, go check them out. So as we all know, hunting gear is something people can make way too complicated. Arrows can be the exact same way. Instead of going down all those rabbit holes, trying to sift through the endless information that's online, and you're not really sure if it's right or wrong, Exodus makes it simple to get the right arrow for your exact setup.
So go online to the Exodus Arrow Builder. It takes less than a minute. You're going to enter your draw weight, your draw length, and how heavy of a point you're shooting. And it's going to be that simple. Let the guys at Exodus take care of the rest.
So if you're interested in Exodus Rival cell cameras or a new set of their MMT arrows, just go to ExodusOutdoorGear.com and use code HA15 for 15% off anything on their website.
Once again, that is ExodusOutdoorGear.com. Use code HA15 at checkout for 15% off. Now let's get back to the podcast.
Yeah, I do like the community aspect that you have around the page. I mean, it's really cool to see folks from all corners of the state shooting big deer. It also makes you realize that Oklahoma has big deer in all over the state. You think it's just the Northwest or, out in the plains. It's not. I mean, it's really, I guess, encouraging to see that there's deer like that all over, it seems like.
Yeah. Yeah, you just got to put your time in, and with trail cameras, I think they definitely help us a lot.
So you said you're hunting like multiple counties and stuff. So where exactly are you from, if you don't mind sharing that?
Yeah, so I work around Norman, and I live in Washington, Oklahoma. So it's just a small little community just south of Norman.
So you're a Sooners fan, I assume?
Man, I grew up a Sooners football fan, but I tell people I like OSU people better than I like OU football.
I would agree with that.
I just have more in common with them. So at the end of the day, neither one of them are going to upset me if they lose. But I enjoy OSU people better than OU football.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. Like my great grandpa, he could name any and every OU football player from 1972 to present day. And then I went to school in Stillwater, and that was kind of a shun upon the family. It seemed like, I mean, he was still happy and all that stuff, but I after visiting each campus, it's just like, Stillwater's the place to be for sure. I don't think there's as big as deer in Norman as there is around Stillwater, though, I would say, but that's just anecdotal. What do you have to say about that?
Well, I don't like to throw out too many tips, but your number one archery buck and number 2 buck all time came from Norman. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, damn. I feel like
debunked.
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking, my immediate thought went to the Gunnar Womack buck. And I was like, that was like 15 minutes from campus, dude. And like, of course. Yeah. But no, I did not know that. Which bucks were they? What did they score?
So it's 245 inches and 3/8 was the number one archery buck.
That's it.
So, yep, that's it.
Dadgum. Well, I don't know about that. Go ahead.
So with the Oklahoma Bowhunter page, like, have you been? I think it's really important to have community in the space. And what has it been like, kind of seeing the support and kind of the rally around just like the culture and just the love of bow hunting in Oklahoma? Because I feel like your page has done a really, really good job of like bringing all that together and kind of spreading the love of bow hunting around in Oklahoma. What has that kind of been like to see over the last few years?
It's pretty awesome. I mean, you get a lot of good guys that cheer on other guys, and you're going to see a lot of positive things happen. I do get a lot of negativity. I just don't show it. I delete it. It's one of those things that I try to keep people positive. You know, there's guys that say funny stuff at times, but it's not needed. They'll bash other hunters, and I'll send them a private message and try to encourage them to post positive things. And if they don't, then, I'll block them. It's just as simple as that. It's not really, those keyboard warriors don't exist because it's just not worth it. on the page.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of people with Twitter fingers out there. I mean, I feel like you
Keyboard warriors.
Yeah, negative dude. My uncle has an incredible meme, and I have it saved in my favorites. It's the guy like dressed like an army ranger, and he's holding the keyboard like it's a gun.
It says keyboard warrior at the bottom.
it's so good.
Yeah.
Oh, it's awesome. It is nuts though. You got to be really, really careful on like posting pictures of spots and like we do, like film our hunts and stuff. I have been amazed at people's ability to locate and narrow down where you're hunting just off video or pictures, like just topography, or I know that thing in the background that's right here. I used to be an intern there. Like we've had so many people figure out like
people are smart.
People are really smart. Yeah. I'm not that smart. I watch videos and I'm like, I couldn't tell you if that's northeast or southwest, you know, like, but it has amazed me people's ability to find your spot. You really have to worry about that in the social media age. Have you found any of that on suburban hunts?
No, I don't post a lot of, I post a few things on my own social media, but I really try to just keep it on the page. But yeah, I haven't really noticed a lot. I know a lot of people when I post like what, public land it was at, people get really, frustrated with me. So I try to leave that stuff out. So I just say it's a public land kill. I don't try to say the county or, I get a lot of guys that want me to say the county. But if I don't have that bow hunter's permission, I try not to share any extra information that I don't have to.
Yeah. So I feel like you can speak really well on this. Is kind of like the ethics when taking a what do they call the trophy shot? So whenever you obviously harvest a buck and you're holding it up by the antlers, the old grip and grin, what's a good picture look like? Because I sent one in 2020, and again, like it was on public, so didn't have time to really make it look pretty before stuff started getting stiff, and so the tongue was sticking out, and I didn't catch it at the time, but I sent it in, and then when you actually posted it on your Facebook group, and it had the tongue like blurred out a little bit. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I think it's more of a pet peeve for me. I don't know if you'd call it an ethics thing, but I just want people to see your deer harvest and think it's on the front cover of a magazine. Whether it's 110 inches or 210 inches, I want everyone to take a quality photo, just because, you're always going to look back at those photos of that buck. And, it takes an extra 5 minutes to put the tongue in, wipe it down, and to take a better photo, and someday you'll show your kids these photos. And so I want people to encourage them to take a better photo. I just think it all around, it leaves less comments. And the reason why I blur it out or edit the tongue out is because it's a non-hunter that'll see it on social media that will write me in, a 5-minute paragraph on what they don't like about that photo. And, it might be somebody's grandma that just had a bad day and they want to take it out on me because you didn't take 5 minutes to edit your photo, clean up your deer. Yeah. So that's why I try to cut out the blood, and there's some photos that people hang from trees and hang in the back of their pickups. I just don't post it. And so they get really frustrated with me. And I said, hey, did you take one in the field and not in front of your house? Like, we're just trying to celebrate your deer, and it's not that exciting when it's hanging bloody from a tree.
Right. And I think that's what I kind of appreciate about that too, looking back at it, just because as hunters, they say the hunter numbers are declining, and with the legislative stuff going around, like it wouldn't take much for someone to get a bad taste in their mouth by watching a bad video, or kind of like you said, seeing a bad picture, and then bring it up to a council, kind of like the Kansas trail cam thing. Like they banned trail cameras so fast, like it was honestly scary to think about. And I feel like a lot of people weren't even really aware that sort of ordeal was going on, and at least for Kansas folk, because I live probably 30 minutes just from the border of Kansas, so I know a few residents there, and none of them really knew any of the whereabouts of the trail cam thing. So that just goes to show like how quickly things could change. And yeah, I feel like taking good pictures and I guess posting ethical kill shots, if that's a good way of putting it, is good to do.
Yeah, I don't know much about the Kansas stuff. I just know that they already had stuff written in their language, in their bylaws, that made that easier for that to happen. They just kind of reinforced what they had already had written. I have a hard time, I guess, with just the public land. I get the land that they walk in on, that's someone that's private land, that letting people public land. I get that on the trail cameras. But I still have a hard time with the public land being restricted. But that's their laws. So
yeah, which is understandable. So on Facebook, with how it is nowadays with the censorship, it feels like it's pretty easy for them to quiet people down. So like, for instance, us on TikTok, I hate to say that we're TikTokers or whatever, because that's a bad rep for people, but for you on Facebook, do you see any sort of backlash from Facebook as a whole, like trying to censor the page at all?
Not yet. I mean, I'm sure it will down the road. I just think Facebook and they're not a fan of hunters in general, so it's one of those things that it's just a matter of time. So I've tried to think of different ways to get more people to share photos through a website or something like that, but I mean, I average anywhere from 700 to 900 photos a year that I post on Facebook. But if I had a website, I would probably get 50, 60 photos, and that's it. There's something about the ease of Facebook to upload a picture. You're already on it. When you have to go to somebody's website and upload something, it's just too many steps. And I know it doesn't seem like it's that hard. I might have to just give my cell phone number out and then do an email thing or something. I don't know, where people can just text me a photo and then I can share it, through some type of email chain, if social media stuff ever starts blocking hunting things, because I think there's a lot of people that still want to see photos throughout the state, and it's just a matter of time before they restrict it.
We've had issues with TikTok. Like you can't say the word kill. You can't show a picture of a dead deer. You can't, and we've repurposed a lot of these videos. We take them from TikTok and post them on Instagram or YouTube or something. People are like, well, why are you saying harvest? Why aren't you saying kill? Why aren't you saying shoot? Why aren't you showing a picture
trail
of the dead
deer? You gotta
deer?
say tracking juice or something.
Yeah. And we're like, because either if we want to be on any of these platforms and talk about hunting, like you can talk about them the way that you want to talk about it, or show, like you said, kill shots the way you want to show them. They're just not going to be on the platform. That's just the way it goes. Like we have friends on TikTok that have had 10 accounts. And it's like, well, I'm going to say what I want. And it's like, you can say what you want, but you're not going to be on the platform. So you kind of have to play by their rules in some sort of way, which sucks because it's what we like to do. But there is a lot of people, like you said, and I've probably been one of them, where you just don't show an animal in the most respectful way, and it's not tasteful. You could probably find one on my Instagram right now. That's not a great picture. So I think we have to hold ourselves to that standard, like you're talking about.
Either that, or we just need Elon to buy Facebook and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I know a lot of people get mad because I'll take out, the hole where the arrow went through because it's so large, and I'll cover it up, with Photoshop, and they get really offended. And I said, hey, if you were to send this to a magazine, they would not post it how it is. They're gonna touch it up just a little bit, just so the people that look at the magazine, it's just a cleaner look. So.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. So I mean, year to year, a lot of people have bucks that they're going after from year to year. Do you have a pretty good fall kind of planned out? Is there a certain buck that you're after? Or are you doing any cool trips, or what does your fall kind of look like?
So for me, my last year I took a lot of new bow hunters hunting. I think that's going to be my goals moving forward, is to always take new bow hunters out there. Like you said, our numbers are down with bow hunters, so you have to teach others to do what we do. So last year I took 5 guys that have never harvested anything before, and 4 out of the 5 killed their first year. And one of those being my daughter, and she was 7 years old and she shot one with a crossbow. So I've got 3 kids, so it's probably more likely getting them a shot at a deer, and then I can worry about me later. But yeah, any mature deer that I have, and my 10-year-old last year, I made her pass up on a 3-year-old buck that came in 3 times, and I want to teach her patience. And most guys would have let their kids shoot anything that walks, but we have a lot of good properties, and I work hard at it. And so I'm trying to teach them the value, to shoot an older deer. It doesn't have to be the biggest deer, but just there was an older 7-pointer in that area, and I was wanting her to shoot that one, and it just didn't work out.
Well, your 10-year-old has more patience than me. I can guarantee you that.
She was mad, and then when on the drive home, she thanked me for just being able to see all the, so she understood.
Well, that's good. I get in those mindsets where it's weird. It's weird how the hunting journey works, right? Because I remember just wanting to shoot anything, and then after shooting a few, and then you kind of like luckily fall into a big one just by the grace of God. And then after you move back to where you were comfortable with, like, let's say like now, like if I shoot it like a straight 120-inch deer, like whether that be an 8 or a 10 or whatever, it's like, this feeling isn't the same. And it's always cool to see like the progression, especially of like the people just now getting into it. It's good to almost relive that, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And for me, it's like, you can't always shoot 160-inch deer. So you have to have goals that you can hit every year. And I think by taking other people out there, you kind of feel that need, like you would to chase after a big, and those large deer just don't come around all the time, and so you just got to find easier goals that you can reach, to have a good season. I could still have a good season and not kill a deer, and some guys, they would be defeated if they went the whole season without killing a deer. It's a bonus, when you can reach those goals.
Mm-hmm. How are you encouraged, or how do you feel about kind of I feel like, the rise of popularity of bow hunting in Oklahoma? And you can really only see these sort of things when you go to like a total archery challenge, or you get that many people aggregated together. I mean, do you feel like we're in a good place in Oklahoma when it comes to bow hunting? To me, it seems like the community is really, really strong.
Yeah, I really feel like we've kind of came together, and bow hunters, I think, are your team players, because they're the ones that are putting that work in all year long, and, they're willing to, to go the extra mile, I think, at times for a deer. They're not just throwing corn out right before rifle season and sitting out there 300 yards away and letting it fly. Sometimes those guys don't even know what they're shooting at. They just saw horns and they got excited. Whereas I feel like majority of your bow hunters, even on public land, they have trail cameras out and they're looking, for something to chase instead of just shooting something that walks by.
There's a lot of people in Oklahoma that shoot giants with bows too. Like I think it's a very bow hunting friendly state, with the whole season being, bow season. There's some weird states that, you can like in Pennsylvania, we talked to our buddy Corey the other day, where you can only bow hunt a certain season and then it stops for a little bit, and then you can bow hunt again during the rifle season. Like Oklahoma is, in a lot of ways, unless it started like September 1st, that would be like the only way to make it any better, I feel like. But it is like a bow hunter's paradise.
They might come out with that velvet season starting in like August or early September, or whatever they were talking about not too long ago.
Yeah, that's true.
Unless you're a non-resident listening to this, then it sucks. it sucks. There's mosquitoes, there's ticks everywhere. Early season's
No
awful,
deer,
and then,
little bucks.
Yeah. We have not good quantity, that's for sure. I have one question for you, and I know this has been asked on a lot of forums. Where do people get the Oklahoma Bowhunter stickers?
So a lot of times people just message the Oklahoma Bowhunter page, and I send them a picture. They circle it. They say, "Hey, I like the blue decal," and they send me their email, and I send them an invoice. They pay it, and I ship it. So it seems like a lot of work, but it's more work for me to upload pictures on a website instead of just sending a quick picture, and then they circle it when they have time, and then I try to mail it out as quick as possible. It works really well for me. I do it all through PayPal, so I don't have to hand enter anything in other than your email. And then I can print it in my office and ship it out the next day. So it makes it pretty easy to ship things out that way.
The same go for like the hats and stuff?
Hats, shirts, people message. Yeah, there's a few archery shops that I do sell merchandise. The reason I do that is just to get people in their shops. So I work with a few local ones around the OKC metro area, and that's kind of what I do.
So for people that want to be a part of the bow hunting community in Oklahoma, maybe want to get their harvest photos shared and just be a part of something a little bit bigger, where's the best place for them to become a part of Oklahoma Bow Hunter?
So Facebook is probably my most active page, just with people sending in photos. And then the next would be Instagram. I mean, they can also send a direct message through there. I do have Twitter as well, where they can send it through Twitter. But Facebook seems like the most successful one. And there's just more groups and more things like that to follow. I do have a group page where people can ask more questions, and I tend to post maybe, less ethical photos there, just because it's only bow hunters on that page. Whereas the Facebook page is more of a community page, and so anybody can follow it. So I try to only post the prettier pictures there.
Cool. Well, is there any other place that people can connect with you, or maybe see what's going on with your season if they want to see you getting some other people out there hunting, or maybe you end up shooting a big buck and they just want to stay connected with you? Where can they do that?
Once a year, I have a booth at the Backwoods Hunting Show in Oklahoma City, and that's probably the best location to come up and hang out for 3 days. And we sell a lot of merchandise there. What's cool about that is I have a booth, and I showcase anywhere from 7 to 10 bucks that were harvested from that season at the show. And so I've done it, I think 10 years now at the Backwoods Show. And for me, that's kind of like the end of the year celebration. 3 days. It's a lot of work, but I enjoy it. I get to meet a lot of guys. And sometimes, the booth's crowded and we don't get to visit a ton. So I just tell people to hang out. But Saturdays is pretty tough to visit with a lot of people, because there's just a lot of people that come to that show. So that's probably the best in-person thing. And there's different events that I try to go to. Like I ran into you guys at the TAC show. I try to get out and meet people. So,
well, I hope I shoot an absolute mega giant this year, and I can put it in your booth at the Backwoods Show if you'll have me.
Sounds like a good plan.
Well,
he's like, that ain't going to happen.
Yeah, that's funny. Craig, we appreciate you coming on. We appreciate you sharing a little bit about Oklahoma Bow Hunter, and we hope you shoot an absolute giant this season.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Y'all too.
Thank you guys so much for checking out the Hunter's Advantage podcast. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure to leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcast, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen to the podcast. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you in the next episode.